Today I'm going to go over of how to get my spreadsheet, as I've had some questions, and I've also had some questions about if you sell your shares or in a partial amount of your shares, how do you record that in the sheet? Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to change it up a little bit. We're just going to do a video about the spreadsheet that some of you may have downloaded. This, of course, is for those who have downloaded it or for those who are interested in it. I'm just going to go over how it works and how do you enter your information into the sheet. And before all of that, how do you even download the sheet? And what does it look like when you click the link? So I hope this video will help clear some of that up. Just to give a broad overview of what we're looking at here, this top cell up here where it says MSTY, that is where you would enter your ticker symbol. It will kick out what that current price is of that stock ticker that you enter. And then whatever stock ticker you entered here, you will enter in all of your purchases into this field over here. And if you have any distributions for that particular stock or ETF, you'll enter it there. As we know, MSTY does pay out distributions, so we would enter that into here. But if you have a stock, say like Microsoft or Apple, where that pays out dividends, it would be the same thing. All of that would be entered into this table here. And then if you are one of the ones who are selling options against that particular ticker symbol, then you can enter that information into here. The first three columns here with the date, expires, and the type and strike, all of that really is just for information only. That is your information to help you track what position that you're at, when it expires, when you got into it, and what it is, right? The type and strike, that'd be what it is. So if you are just opening it, you may have, like I had here originally, $25 put, and I had one of them, right? So then as I went on through, I was rolling it. And as you can see here, I've got one where it says $23 to $20 roll put 1. So that means that it originally was $23. I rolled it to $20. So I rolled it down and I rolled that expiration date out to July 18th here. So that way I know when it expires. I know what the position is. In this case, it's a $20 roll or a $20 put, and I have one, which is one contract. And then how much did I earn for doing so? In that one, I earned $54.85. The other one that I have opened, I earned $139.84. So it just really depends on what the strike is, how far out you roll it. And in this case, I rolled it from $23 all the way down to $20 and still earned $50, right? So I reduced my risk by $300 because that original one was $23 and I took it down to only willing to buy them at $20 and I still got paid for it. That is awesome. But anyway, so I wanted to show you that. And one other thing that has been coming up is on the distributions. Originally, we had the date and then we had the amount earned. So on the amount earned, you basically had to calculate the distribution per share times the number of shares you had and then plug in that number into the amount earned. Well, now you just enter your date, you enter in the distribution per share price, which we get that announcement on that Wednesday before the X date. And then the number of eligible shares that you have, you would enter that into there. And then that will calculate the amount that you have earned into this column. These two columns are what calculates this one. So these three are important. The date is just for your reference. but if you enter in the wrong distribution share price, or you enter in the incorrect number of shares, of course your amount earned would be incorrect. So once you do see it arrive into your account, it is always good to double check to make sure that you didn't mess up any kind of numbers here. And if it is different, then you'll have to look to see, did you enter the right distribution per share price, and did you correctly count the eligible shares? And eligible shares, of course, would be whatever that X date is. If you own those shares before that date, then you can count those shares. And if you are tracking over here the number of shares that you are purchasing, it gives that date. So if you keep track of that date properly of when you made that purchase, it's an easy glance to see, oh, my last purchase was at May the 1st. I bought those 10 shares on May 1st, and therefore that was my last purchase. So I get to count all 400 shares for that distribution. Now, I am only looking at, this is not my current sheet, right? Because on my last video, we had entered in that distribution. I'm actually looking at the live sheet. And this is the live sheet that you would see. And when you go to download, this is the one you would see. So the examples here are from that snapshot, right? So it did not include our distribution for May. But for this example, this is just to give you an idea of how I entered my sheets. But this is indeed a live sheet that when you click to download, you will get this sheet here. Now, let's just look to see what does the sheet look like whenever you click that link. Okay, so now we're looking at an example of if you click that link, what it looks like. And as you can see here, we are looking at this view only. And this is what I was talking about as far as in the description part of that download, when it says that when you click that link, it'll take you to the page, but it'll be a view only sheet. And as you can see, this is view only. You cannot enter in any information. You can scroll through the pages. You can check it out, whatever you want to do, but you cannot enter the information. It is for your viewing purposes only. In order for you to be able to get a copy, then you would follow these directions that would be available to you. But we're just going to show where that is. Like I said, it's view only. You do not want to click this view only mode button, because if you do, you will get this little pop-up and it will say, do you want to request the edit access? Okay, so what that would do is that's going to send me a edit access to try to grant you rights to be able to edit this page. Now, we do not want to do that because this is for everyone's use. You need to make a copy, not request edit rights. So to make that copy, we're going to go right up here and we're going to hit this file button. As you can see here, I've got the descriptions here for the computer. And if you scroll down, there it is for the phone. So we're on the computer and we will follow these. So we're going to click the file button. We click file and then you have right here, make a copy. So when you click that make a copy, that's exactly what it's going to do. It'll make a copy. You should be able to name it whatever you want, but it will store that into your Google Sheets app or into your Google Drive, however you have it set up. But once you've made your copy, then this view only will no longer be there. It will then look like this. So once you've made your copy, you will have this, and the chances are it will also be labeled the same. It will label it as copy of and the file name that it was originally named. So now you are looking at what you would have on your drive. You'll have the exact same thing, but notice that is no longer saying view only. You now have full access rights to the sheet, as it is a exact copy of the viewable one only. Now, keep in mind also, if you have downloaded the sheet previously, there has been some changes. And those changes were in the distribution area right here, where we were talking about now you can enter in the distributions per share and the eligible number of shares. Before, it was just the date and the amount. If you would want this newer version, then if you still have that viewable only link in your Google Drive, you can easily just click that and make a new copy and then transfer your information over to that. Or if you still have the link that was sent to you, you can click that to get you to be able to download the file again and make a new copy. And you'll just follow the same steps. And once you have that, then you again would also enter in your information back into the new sheet with the ticker symbol that you've chosen for this stock tracker sheet. Okay, so one last thing that I wanted to point out was there has been some questions about, well, what if you sell some shares? What if, say, you sold a call and those shares were called away, right? Or what if you just decided to sell, say, 100 shares? In my case, I've got 400 total shares. And what if I said, I like the price that it's at, I'm just going to go ahead and sell 100 shares of MSTY for whatever reason I wanted to do so. And that doesn't matter, right? It's whatever you want to do and whatever you need to do, that is your portfolio. You are the boss. You control your own company. It's pretty simple here. If you do sell shares, then you would just simply put in that date, and I will enter in a date here, and all of this is fictitious, okay? So I'm just making this part up, and I will delete it from my personal sheet here so that it does not carry over and mess up my numbers later down the road. But this is just for an example so that you know how to also track if you sell shares. So we'll just use the date, and we'll put in today's date of 5/11 of 2025, and we will say that we're going to sell those shares at a made-up price of $24, okay? And I'm going to sell a total of 100 shares, okay? Just keeping the numbers nice and simple. So I'm going to sell 100 shares, and I currently have 400 shares. Well, if I enter 100 right here, it's going to add 400 to those shares and show me I have 500, but I sold 100. So anytime you sell the number of shares, you enter in a negative number here. So it's minus 100 shares, not minus the buy price, but these shares are being taken away. So the buy price is $24, but the number of shares you're selling is minus 100. So by subtracting 100 shares times 24, so that will reduce your capital by a total of minus $2,400. Now, as you can see here, that original capital up here was sitting at about $10,000. But since I did sell shares and that money got put into my pocket, therefore, that helped to reduce my capital invested here. And since I sold the 100 shares, now my number of shares I own is 300 shares instead of 400 because I sold 100 shares of it. So now I only own 300 shares. My purchase share average is $25.60. Because I now have less shares, right? Capital spent is $7,600, and I've earned distributions of $7,500 with premium of $679. So my calculated adjusted capital that I have at risk, look at there. Guess what? It's a minus $515. And we all know what that means. That means that I have captured all of my capital back and then some. So therefore, what's the percentage I've earned? I have earned all of my capital back within the distributions and premiums that I earn, and I'm at 106.72%. So therefore, if I were to sell my shares currently at the price, I would make $7,500 free and clear. Actually, $7,571.77 if you want to be technical. So I wanted to kind of explain how to show if you do sell shares for whatever reason you want to sell shares, and you have the right to do so, then that's how you enter it into your sheet here. It is made to show for purchases and selling shares, right? So it is just simply entering in a negative number of shares to show that as those shares being deducted from your total shares, and that will also give you a negative capital spent because you are gaining that money back instead of paying that money out, and that will also come out of your capital invested here. So it's pretty simple here. I tried to keep it simple. I tried not to make too many changes, just simply because there were some of you who did get this sheet previously, and I wanted you to still be able to get the updated version and easily be able to plug in your existing numbers from the other sheet into this one. The only difference is, of course, if you had the other sheet, is you would have to enter in this information here, which is the distribution per share and the eligible number of shares that you would have for that distribution rate. And that's the only thing that you would have to go back and do. The rest of the information, honestly, it's a cut and paste right into this sheet. And you can always just go in and retype it as well, whichever one's easier for you. So again, this is the example sheet, and this will be included in that packet. And in that same Google Sheet set there, you have the blank one. And this one is the one where you would fill in your information, whether you're buying, selling shares. If you got a distribution, you enter it in here. And if you're selling premium, of course, you would enter it in over here. And if you notice, of course, if you do enter in the premium and it does not show up over here into the premium earned area, check this button right here. If it says no, that means that you do not want to include the premium into the calculation. So if you do want to include the premium into the calculation, you just simply do the drop down and click yes. Well, I currently don't have anything in this table, so it's not going to change anything in the table up here. But if you are noticing that it's not picking up the option premium that you've entered, check this button and see if it says no. If it does say no, flip it to yes. And the reason I have that button there is just so that you can see that if you are selling options for premium, what and how much of a difference does it make? So it's just for fun and how much of a difference option selling actually provides you. And does it make sense for you to even do it? Now, if you do not sell options, this whole table here will probably just stay blank, and you can just keep this button set to no or yes. It doesn't matter because there's nothing there for it to add or subtract from your values up here. So I just wanted to really do a quick little video about the sheet itself. There has been a few questions about, like I said, the distributions, how to enter those. And there's been a few as far as if you do sell shares, where do I enter that into? So I hope this clears things up, and I kept it pretty simple, which was my goal. And of course, if you have any questions about any of the tabs or the columns, the headers, you can always check underneath the tab called Notes. And in that section there, it will basically go over what I've kind of told you here. It would also give the heading titles and some rough descriptions of what those are. And then, of course, filling out the sheet of buying. And if you are selling, this last bullet point I did add. So if you're selling shares, what and how you would do that. The bottom, of course, is just a revision log for myself. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, smash the like, it'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.